Coppa Italia second round action kicks off today. Lecce face Sassuolo, Cagliari take on Cremonese, and Torino face Empoli. And then tomorrow we've got Pisa versus Cesena, Udinese versus Salernitana, Genoa versus Sampdoria, Monza versus Brescia, Napoli face Palermo FC on Thursday. And let's take a look at the Serie A table. Here's a look at the top seven. And if you will notice, Torino is sitting on top and Empoli sitting in fifth, and they just happen to be facing off today, which makes for a very enticing Coppa Italia matchup. And for more, we are delighted to welcome in our very good friend, Marco Messina. Marco, first of all, I have to say thank you for my Parmigiano Reggiano, which is absolutely spectacular that you brought for us from Parma. I am eternally grateful. It was delicious.
Good, I'm glad. And it makes me even happier that in the break, Alexis said that he didn't get to try any and it all went to his wife, because that's how it was supposed to be set up, because he's always coming after me. So all good. I'm happy you guys enjoyed it.
It is seriously phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
I'm glad
and
you guys
very
have
grateful.
some.
I'm so glad. Well, I'm glad that Jen put it in the refrigerator with a Post-it note on it and was like, "This is Susanna's. Nobody take it," because I was on vacation at the time.
He tried to take it, too.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
Like a little rat. It's a little bite.
He didn't, though. All right, let's talk a little Coppa Italia. And let's talk about Torino and Empoli, because both teams off to fantastic starts in Serie A this season. How surprised are you by both of these sides?
Crazy surprise. It's like impossible to predict. The last time that Torino was in first place in Serie A was 1977. So it's been 47 years since that's happened. You know, the great Torino in history, Torino was one of the best teams ever. And then they had the Superga era disaster and ever since then, they hadn't really been the same. But this is a Torino side that nobody expected, because they lost their three best players over the summer. They lost Buongiorno, he went to Napoli. They lost Bellanova, he went to Atalanta. And then they lost Ricardo Rodriguez. And they went from a team that couldn't score goals under Juric, who is now the coach of Roma, to a team that's playing some open football that's very exciting, that doesn't calculate that they want to tie a game. They want to go and win it. And that all comes down to Paolo Vanoli, the new coach of the club. He's the one who took Venezia to the promised land. When he took over Venezia, they were second bottom in Serie B. And in a year and a half, he brought them to Serie A, playing really good football. He gets everyone involved in play. His Venezia side had 13 different goal scorers at the time. And he's had it's been smooth sailing since coming to Serie A. So it's a really exciting Torino side that I hope can keep this up.
But can they, Marco? You know, like, is this sustainable? Is what we're seeing a recipe for continued success, or is this just a case of getting off to a really good start?
It's probably the first, but I want to be optimistic, and I want to say that they could do this, because it just makes the Serie A so exciting when you see the top of the table. And I know we're only 5 games in, but if you look around the rest of Europe, the usual suspects are in first and second place on every other league. So it's exciting, and they have good pieces. The fact that Zapata is scoring goals, he became the captain of the team, and now he scored 2 goals so far in the Serie A, and he's playing with Sanabria, which everyone said, no, they can't play together, it's not going to work. They've got young Italian midfielder Ricci in the midfield that looks like he's exploding. They've got a very good goalkeeper. To say that they're going to be in first place come May is probably not possible, but maybe they could pull a Bologna and be pushing to try to get that 5th or 6th place spot in Italy. It would make it very exciting.
Marco, I want to chat Torino's opponents, Empoli, and last year they gave me a kit, so I'm an Empoli fan. Send me a kit. I'm a fan of yours, so send me more kits, Serie A teams. This Empoli side a season ago, they were kind of battling for survival. In the last couple seasons, they have been. Now they've started red hot, but they draw against Juve, they beat Roma, and they draw against Bologna, so not bad to start. What's been the secret and the secret sauce behind their success this season?
Mike, they're 5 games unbeaten. It's never happened before in the club's history. And what you just mentioned, if you think about a year ago, we covered the final day of the season last year. Empoli had a 55% chance of going down. They were so likely to do so. They brought in Davide Nicola, who's a relegation expert. He absolutely saved them. I have no idea how. He didn't stay with the club. They brought in D'Aversa, who was had been previously coaching in Lecce, and he's gotten this team so tactically organized. They wait for their opponent. They're not scared to sit in and hit out on the counter, which is exactly what they did against Roma. And it's such a smart way to set up this team. Also, he's back on the sideline because if you remember, he was suspended for headbutting an opponent player just 6 months ago. But yeah, that's just typical Serie A things that happen in this league. And he's gotten a lot of a young Italian core to work together. They've got Colombo, born in 2002, who's doing really well. He scored. Esposito's another guy. They both scored actually on the weekend. They also have Jassi, electric type of player who's very good at breaking the lines. They have so much going for them, and they also have an enthusiasm from their fans who are excited about this team. They sold the most season tickets that they ever have in the club's history. So things are working out for them. I love the way that they play, and I love that when they approach the big teams, they're not scared to make themselves felt.
Marco, look, I'm a bit of a betting man. I think you know that about me. Love the bets. Give me a bet for this match. Who's going to come out on top? Is it both teams to score? What are we looking for? Because I think for a lot of fans, especially Serie A fans, these two teams are kind of unknown.
It's going to be very calculated. I wouldn't go both teams to score. I mentioned before, Torino had struggled to score. Now they are scoring. I favor Torino in this match just because I think that there's a little bit more at stake for them. And Empoli, I'm wondering, with their roster, with the squad size, can they really compete in Coppa Italia? Can they manage that? I think Torino is a better squad on paper. Empoli are still always within a match because, like I said, they'll sit in, they'll tuck in, they're not scared, and they're going to try to catch Torino, who want to go forward, who want to be a little bit more aggressive in the attack. So I would say Torino tie no bet. That's what I will go with.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
But your bets are terrible anyway, so if you lose, it doesn't really
I'm
make
in
a
first
difference.
place. What are you talking about? See, I'm not
Are
bringing
you?
you cheese when I come back from wherever I go.
Wow, that's surprising. Guys, what are you guys doing that you're letting Alexis be in first place?
That's the way to look at
If you
it.
saw his strategy, Marco, you would understand. You would understand.
What is it?
It's just take the safest bet. He's basically he'll bet $50 to win like $3.
I don't know
So
what you're talking about.
Allegri. You have Allegri on set. The Allegri of betting.
Yeah.
Sometimes everyone else fails around you
Exactly.
and you end up on top.
And that person is me. All right. Not my forte. That's fine. I'm cool with it. All right, let's chat on Atalanta Como. It was rescheduled to today because it was an absolute deluge yesterday. The pitch was completely underwater. Crazy, crazy scenes in Bergamo. But I have a soft spot for Atalanta since, Gasparini is basically my father. And I know this Atalanta side you were very high on at the end of the season last year. What have you made of their campaign so far?
I thought they looked pretty good against Arsenal. I see Charlie and Alexis a little bit quiet over there. I think they should have won that game if they could have converted the penalty kick from Retegui and then the follow-up, but they showed courage. And it was the first time that they got their defense that was all back, because that's been the problem if we talk about Serie A. 8 goals conceded in 4 games for Atalanta, and it's because, if you look at the roster, Derun, who's a natural center midfielder, has had to slot in the back. They had their natural defender, Hien, who had the flu. Kolasinac has been injured. All of those guys are finally back, and it was the first time when they played Arsenal, which I thought gave them a big boost. That is one of the problems with this Atalanta side. They were hit by so many injuries with Scamacca, with Scalvini, and it's a very new team than the one that we had seen win the Europa League final. 13 different players into this squad than the one that had won that competition. So Gasparini's still trying to mold this team. He's still trying to get the best out of them. Besides the penalty that he was missed, Retegui has been on fire form in Italy. 4 goals in his 4 games within the Serie A. And to see that as a fan of the Italian national team is something that makes us very happy. But it's a typical Atalanta. They are having some growing pains with having so many new players within their squad. But that same DNA of not respecting their opponent too much, that they don't want to implement their opponent, even if a team like Arsenal comes into town.
Marco, last one for me. I want to talk Inter and Nicolo Barella. They didn't just lose to Milan. They're without Barella for the next couple weeks. How do they cope without him? Because he's probably my favorite midfielder to watch in that whole team.
Yeah, he looked absolutely dead in the last game against Milan, and he's one of those players that I feel like is not often injured for Inter. I can't remember very often when he's not been there, and I think they have the depth for this. They were planning in case players go down. They have a Davide Fratesi, who is usually the one that gets subbed in for Barella, that can make his mark. Does he have the quality of Barella? No. He's a little bit more incisive in terms of goal scoring because he likes to break the line. He likes to get within the box. He's done very well for the minutes that's been given. Inzaghi also could opt for Zielinski, who I thought looked great against Manchester City. But I have a feeling it's Fratesi's time. And this is what happens with teams like Inter. But they have the luxury of building for this. They have the most depth out of any team within the Serie, and especially in their midfield where they could cope with injuries. Barella is huge. He's massive for the status of this club, but I think they'll be just fine with the guys they have on their bench.
Marco Messina, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you soon.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we are opening up our Tuesday mailbag. Yeah, we left this one really open-ended as well. This should be fun.